So I've got my list. Yeah, we don't do spreadsheets. We keep it old school with paper and pencil, writing stuff down. It's part 2 of your favorite obscure prog rock albums. I ask you to give me one, and oh boy, you guys came through. This has been phenomenal. I did part 1 last week. We went through albums 145 to 121. Today, part 2, we're going to rattle them through. We're going to start with number 120. And this batch is just as great as part 1, so stick around to the very end. I got a couple announcements to make. You guys know what to do at number 120. Dominique Gouat, L'Univers de la Mer. I'm guessing he's French. This one came to me from a subscriber by the name of Square. And this is from 1978. It's kind of easy listening. It's real atmospheric. Somebody in the comments on YouTube said it. The elevators in Atlantis are playing this music, and that pretty much summed it up. It's pretty cool. At number 119, a band that for some reason I'd never even heard of before, called Hypnos 69. I guess they're from Belgium. The album is Legacy. This came to me from Steve Alvinos. Wow, I am really, really impressed with this band. They have a very modern kind of prog that, you know, really cuts through. I think the closest comparison I could make is maybe the American band Astra. It's good stuff. At number 118, we're talking about Illuminae and Dark Horizons. This came to me from Patrice Pelletier. This one came out in 2021. I saw this all over the place last year. I never took the time to listen to it. It looked to me like a metal album, so I didn't bother with it. But, you know, it's the bass player from Karnataka. He's got a new singer. She's from Poland. On the album, you've got Steve Hackett and Craig Blunell and Luke Machin. I mean, it's a real all-star lineup. It's actually a pretty good record. I was really too quick to dismiss it. At number 117... we're going to the UK and Mandalaband, their second album, Eye of Wendor. This is a strange band started by a guy named, what was his name? David Rawl. He was an Egyptologist, and he decided he wanted to do a band about ancient stuff, and he came up with you know, this first album, and then the band broke up and he didn't have a band anymore. The label wanted Mandalaband back together, so he brings a bunch of, it's like an all-star lineup. You got people from 10cc, you got people from Barclay James Harvest, you got Justin Hayward from the Moody Blues. It's a really cool record. I like it a lot. And number 116, the Mecha Markmen from Sweden. This is 1969, and this came to me from Kurt Thulin. Anyway, Mandalaband with Graham Doherty. Great call. I like both of their albums, Mandalaband. But we're talking about Mecha Markmen, 1969. The album is called Running in the Summer Night. Apparently, this is their second album. Yeah, that early Swedish stuff is just so cool. It's got such a warm feel to it. I'd never heard the Mecha Markmen before, but I'm going to be taking some time with them because, you know, music from this era, music from that part of the world, it's got me written all over it. At number 115, we're going to Poland with Quidam and their 1996 debut album. This came to me from Terry Johnson, another band I knew absolutely nothing about. They've got female vocals. They're very symphonic prog, very cool. A lot of the Polish prog I've heard is, you know, more continental sound, and this actually does sound a little bit more like British prog rock, so I'm really digging it. At number 114, somebody kind of went out of the box on this one. From 1981, we've got Mike Batt, 6 Days in Berlin. I remember when this album came out in 81. Oh, by the way, thank you, Drew Bjork, for that. Yeah, I was working in a record store when this one came out, so I heard it, got the promo copy, and I was really impressed. I'd never heard of this guy before. It's kind of classical, but it's kind of got its foot in the new wave thing too. It's bizarre, it's cool, it's really well written, and it stands the test of time very, very well. I hadn't listened to that record in over 30 years. Listened to it the other night, and I really liked it. And number 113, another band that just kind of slipped me by. It's Circulus, and the album is The Lick on the Top of an Envelope Not Yet Sent. From 2005. Thank you, Ed Topo, for this one. I always thought they were kind of like a prog metal band, so I never really gave them the time of day. Turns out they're a prog folk duo that do some really cool stuff, not too far from Fairport Convention or Jethro Tull or Steel Ice Band. Really cool, though. Thank you, Ed, for recommending that. I would have never checked them out if it weren't for you. At number 12, here's one I actually know. From Italy, it's Dedalus. Their self-titled album from 1973. Thank you, Oliver Sampson, for that. These guys are kind of Italy's answer to Soft Machine. They play that freaky jazz rock style. It's one of the cooler Italian albums that came out at that time. 1973 was just such a great year for Italian prog, and Dedalus just came out right in the midst of all that amazing Italian stuff. At number 111, another one I had no idea about. This is from Dwayne Reed. Thank you for this suggestion. It is Flairck, Variations on a Lady from 1978. This is a French band that's very classical. They have a lot of heavy orchestration. Their instrumentation leans heavily on the strings and, that kind of thing. It's a pretty great record. I got to spend a little bit more time with it. It's very delicate and elegant, and I'm gonna have to really spend some time picking out all the melodies out of this thing, but it's pretty cool. I really liked it. At number 110, we're going to Mexico with Cabezas de Cera and Metal Musica, Heads of Wax. If my Spanish is doing any good here, I think that's what that band translates into. This is like their third album, I think. I'd never heard of them before. It comes from 2014, and Goran Kabrajic recommended that. Good job. Really interesting. I love hearing new bands that I'd never heard before. Very cool. Cool stuff. What I listened to so far, I really liked. At 109, from Trop Tawabong. Tawebson. Sorry about butchering your name, dude. We are talking about Auracle's Glider from 1978. This is a jazz rock album that I'd never heard before. It's got that cool 70s fusion feel to it. So it's not that far removed from, Return to Forever, some of those other kind of bands. It's pretty great. At 108, this one comes from Arnold B. 2002 saw the release of an album called Forgiving Eden by A Triggering Myth, another band that I knew nothing about. They're from the USA, and just a quick little run through this album had me pretty impressed. It's got a lot of stuff going on. I will need to spend some quality time with this band because one spin through is not enough. I really liked it a lot. At 107, the great supergroup from the U.S., the Rio supergroup U-Totem, members of the 5 UUs and members from another band, the Totem Guild or something like that. They got together and did their debut album, 1978. 1990 actually it came out. This is not my usual type of music. That real super avant-garde stuff usually just flies right over this kid's head, but U-Totem has been recommended to me so many times that I actually spent some quality time with their debut over the weekend, and it's really, really good. I liked it quite a bit. At 106, from the Netherlands, The Old Man in the Sea, another band I'd never heard of before. I guess this is their second album, but it is self-titled. It's more of a straight-ahead rock band with some Hammond organ and stuff. Maybe Golden Earring isn't too big a stretch to compare them to, but it's pretty good. It's a lot more progressive than they are. Not bad at all. Very good job, Android 45, for nominating that one. And U-Totem was suggested by Daniel Gustafsson, my good friend Daniel. Thank you so much for that one. At 105, we're going with Gargamel, Watch for the Umbles from 2006. This is a Norwegian band that I'd heard about but never checked out, and it's a fantastic album. Why didn't I listen to Gargamel earlier? I love that Scando Prog stuff, and these guys are just great. They're not real complicated. You know, they're maybe a little less, avant-garde and weird sounding. So they're pretty easy to get into. My first spin through, I was sold. Yeah, thank you, Lemming998 for that great suggestion. At 104 is Ivory Sad Cypress. Thank you, Marty Schwartz. This is a 1980 release. They're from Germany. Apparently, this is their only album. I listened to it last night, and it sounds a whole lot like a lot of those Genesis clone bands out there. But it's not bad. I really do like it. Ivory at 104. At 103, the Mermen and the Amazing California Health and Happiness Roadshow. This is one of the odder ones on the list. Psychedelic surf band. I don't hear a whole lot progressive going on in their music, but it is cool. I dig it. I dig it. Thank you for nominating that, Todd Hill. At number 102, we're going to go with John Petrucci's debut solo album, which is called Suspended Animation from 2005. Thank you, John S537, for nominating this one. Yeah, like I said, this is the first Petrucci solo album. I had never heard it before. I'd seen it around a bunch, heard about it, but I never bothered listening to it, and I probably should have because it's dynamite. It's really solid. Yeah, it takes its cues from Dream Theater. If you like them, you kind of know what you're getting in a Petrucci solo album. At 101, we're going to the Czech Republic. Well, actually, Czechoslovakia. These guys are actually from Slovakia, Bratislava, Slovakia. It is Collegium, Musicum, and their 1973 live album. Another band I'd never heard of before. These guys kind of sound a little like Emerson, Lake and Palmer. It's pretty dynamite stuff. Like I said, I'd never heard it. I put it on. Only thing I listened to was that live album, but now I want to go back and check out some of the other studio albums. Pretty cool. At 100, we're going to go with the Ad Infinitum from 1998. This is the keyboard player from Cathedral, wanting to do some more prog rock. He gets the great Roger Dean to do the album cover. This music isn't nearly as challenging as Cathedral. It's a little paint by numbers. I hear a lot of Yes. I hear a lot of Genesis. It's decent. I was expecting a whole lot more when I first listened to this album a couple years ago because I love Cathedral. We'll be talking some more about them probably in the final episode in this series because their one and only album is amazing. At number 99, here's an album I've seen my whole life. Never bothered checking it out, from 1975. It's UK's Kestrel. Thank you, Andrew Hamer, for recommending that. The Ad Infinitum came from Bricktop Joseph, and Collegium Musicum was Graham Allen. I'm still horrible at giving these shout-outs to you guys, but, I'll get to it eventually. 99, Kestrel, yeah. This album's really cool. The guitarist and singer, I guess after this record, went on to work with David Bowie some. I think his name was Dave Black, something like that. They only did one album. This is a great record. It's proggy, but it still has that radio-friendly sound. There's no long epics here. It's pretty accessible. It's easy stuff to listen to. Wow, it's dynamite. I don't know why I'd never bothered listening to the album with the guy with the bird beak, but there it is. It's awesome. At number 98 from 1969, this one comes from the Canadian Stud Muffin. It's the Flaming Youths' first album. Well, their first album as the Flaming Youths. I guess they went by a different name back in 68, but in 69, they released their one and only album, Arc 2. And the big Prog connection here, obviously, is the great Phil Collins on drums. Yeah, nothing on here is proggy. This is like British Invasion kind of stuff, but it's cool. It's really great to hear the young Phil Collins doing his thing back in 1969. At number 97, how about Nihonjin Far Out? This is obviously a Japanese release, 1973. Thank you, Joe Pease. This band is part of that Far East family band tree, that whole family tree of bands and artists that make up that whole thing. There's some really great music that came out in the early 70s in Japan. This is an album I had never listened to, so I'm really enjoying it. Thank you, Joe Pease, for that suggestion. Just dynamite. Yeah, obviously there's a little blind spot I've got with early 70s Japanese prog that needs to be filled. And at number 96, the self-titled album from the Mustard Seeds, 1996. Thank you, Thomas Weary, for this. Another one that maybe doesn't have, a true prog connection. The Mustard Seeds are not, necessarily a prog band. We're talking about Matt and Greg Bissonette, the bass player and the drummer, who kind of made a bunch of money being the rhythm section for David Lee Roth. And I guess they worked with Electric Light Orchestra and Elton John, but they wanted to do some prog rock or prog-related stuff. I don't even know what the Mustard Seeds are. I listened to the whole album, and it's really good. It's more alternative or indie kind of stuff, but you hear some progressive elements in it. Very cool suggestion, Thomas Weary. I liked it a lot. So that is the next 25 in your obscure prog rock album picks. Really, really impressed with everything you guys have suggested to me so far. As advertised, I said I was going to have a little announcement on the back end, and yeah, I do. I am going to be doing a membership where you guys can join the Prog Corner and be a connoisseur of the prog rock, and it's only going to cost $4.99 a month. I'm rolling it out here, but I have absolutely no idea what to do to make it worth while for anybody to sign up. I know I wouldn't pay $5 to hear me talk. That's for sure. But maybe some of you guys would. And if you're even thinking about it, please let me know in the comments about what I could offer to make that happen. Anyway, I'm Scott. You're in the Prog Corner. I love you guys. I'm probably going to do another one of these next week, but if I have some time, I'm going to try to squeeze in one more this week because this has been a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying going through all these obscure records that you guys picked out for me to listen to, and I hope some of you are actually taking some notes and checking some of these records out because you guys have great taste. I'm telling you, I have the absolute best community of freaks in the entire internet right here on my YouTube channel. Thank you guys. You are the best. I'll see you next time.